The hatch cover was heavy, old iron fittings, salt-crusted and stiff, the kind that had not been turned in years. Marcus worked them loose, one by one, while the captain stood at the wheel behind him and said nothing. The amber lantern burned without smoke. The fog pressed in on all sides. There was no sound from the water, no well sides. There was no sound from the water, no well sides. The groan of old iron in the slow work of Marcus's hands. The last fitting came free. The smell hit him first, cold and deep and old, like water that had never seen sunlight, like the bottom of something that had no bottom. He took a breath and held it and looked down into the dark below. A ladder. Wooden rungs descending into black. Below a ladder. Wooden rungs descending into black. A faint sound from somewhere below, slow and rhythmic, like breathing that was not quite breathing, like something that had learned to imitate the sound without understanding what it meant. Marcus took out his flashlight. The beam cut down into the hold and caught something at the bottom that made him go very still. The crew of the Maren's Grace was down there. All 11 of them. They were sitting in a circle on the floor of the hold, back straight, hands in their laps, heads slightly bowed. Their oilskin coats were old and stiff. Their faces were the color of deep water. Their eyes were open, but they were not looking at anything in this world. They were not moving, but they were not dead. Marcus could see it now, the slow rise and fall of 11 chests, shallow and steady like men who had been breathing the same air for 37 years and had gotten very efficient about 9 years, and had gotten very efficient about 9 years, who had been waiting a very long time. He looked closer with the flashlight. In the center of the circle, on the floor between them, was a shape, low and dark and wrong in a way that Marcus could not immediately explain. Not a box, not a crate, something older than either of those. Something that had the look of having been brought up from somewhere very far down. It was covered in a tarpaulin. Marcus started down the ladder. He was on the 4th rung when the captain's voice came from above, quiet and careful. "Do not remove the covering." Marcus stopped. "What is under it?" he asked. Silence from above. Then, "The reason we never came home." Marcus looked down at the shape in the center of the circle. The 11 still men sitting around it, the slow rise and fall of their chests, the tarpaulin that had not moved in 37 years. He climbed down the rest of the ladder. The cold hit him at the bottom. Not the cold of a night at sea, something deeper, something that lived in the dark and did not know warmth and had no interest in learning. He pulled his jacket tighter and crossed the hold toward the circle of men. Up close they were worse. Their skin had the last destroy of old wood, the grain showing through in fine lines across their cheeks and foreheads. Their hands in their laps were folded carefully, fingers interlaced, the knuckles white. Their open eyes caught his flashlight and gave nothing back. One of them was young, maybe 20, a boy really. He had red hair and freckles that the cold had not taken away, and he looked like someone's son, which he was, which all of them were. Which was the worst thing about any of it. Marcus crouched down in front of the tarpaulin. It was tied at the corners with rope, the same stiff, dry rope as the mooring line. He reached out and put his hand on the nearest knot. The boy with the red hair moved. Not much, just his head turning slowly on his neck, finding Marcus in the dark with those empty open eyes. His mouth opened. No sound came out for a long moment. Then, very quietly, like a man speaking from the bottom of the sea, he said one word, "Don't." Marcus pulled his hand back. He looked around the circle. All 11 heads had turned now. All 11 pairs of empty eyes were on him. All 11 mouths were slightly open, and from all 11 throats, so quietly he almost missed it, came the same word, over and over, a slow, ragged chorus from somewhere very far down. "Don't, don't, don't." Marcus stood up. He backed away from the circle until his shoulders hit the ladder behind him. He climbed fast, 2 rungs at a time, and came up through the hatch into the fog and the amber light, and the old captain still standing at the wheel. "What is under the tarpaulin?" Marcus said. His voice was not steady anymore. The captain looked at him for a long time. "Something we pulled up from the deep," he said. "Something that was not meant to come up. We did not know what it was when we found it. We know now. We have had 37 years to learn." "What is it?" Marcus said. The captain put his hands back on the wheel, that final, heavy gesture, like a man who has accepted something a long time ago and made his peace with it. "It is the reason this harbor exists," he said. It was here before the harbor, before the town. Before anyone put a name to this bay, it has been waiting down there since before anyone was alive to know it was waiting. We woke it up. That was our mistake. The worst kind. The kind that does not stay yours. Marcus looked at the hatch. Closed now. He did not remember closing it. What does it want? He asked. The captain looked out at the fog, at whatever it was he had been looking at since he came in from the sea. That thing past the harbor and this town that only he could see. What it has always wanted, he said quietly, to come ashore. The fog shifted, and somewhere in the town behind Marcus a light went out. Chapter 3 ends here. Chapter 4 coming Wednesday. Subscribe to The Drifting Dark. Something is already at the water's edge.